I'm co-host James Ash.
And I'm co-host Phil Scaife.
Welcome to the Business Lockdown. Welcome to today's episode. February, we're featuring a theme of opportunity in an uncertain world. We're exploring planning, strategy, chaos, stress, and loss of revenue. And we're joined today by James Sinclair, and there's nobody better placed to look at chaos, trying to work on strategy, loss of revenue than James, especially when you look at his YouTube documentary titled How We Made Six Figures in a Pandemic. James is he's run farm attractions, day nurseries, family entertainment centres, and has a lot of interest in commercial property. James, thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
James and Phil, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
How are times right now, mate? I mean, it just love your documentary, and we will certainly touch on that. A lot of calmness coming from yourself in that documentary, despite the ever-changing environment that you found yourself in. But how does life look like right now as we've kind of entered 2021?
Well, look, I think coronavirus has caused a lot of heartache for lots of business owners, people, entrepreneurs, and just people in general. And what I feel comforted by is I'm not the only one in the boat. You know, there's millions and millions of us, hundreds of billions of us around the world that are going through this huge seismic change. And so I think I probably have been accused of being a bit too calm about all of this. And excited about the next stages of everyone's lives. And I do think there's good things to come. But yeah, I have been calmer than most would be in my position, I would say. But they're not in my position, the people that say I'm too calm. But I'm speaking to lots of business owners and I'm saying, look, yeah, we're all in the same boat. You know, everyone's in the same boat. There's going to be the amount of opportunities that are coming down the road because of coronavirus. The zoo that we've just bought happened because of coronavirus. We're buying another company that happened because of coronavirus. I bought an industrial estate. I managed to get better terms to buy that because of coronavirus. And I think what you have to do is look for these opportunities within the darkness. And I think everyone needs to remind themselves the same amount of money exists in the world all the time. It just stays in people's pockets a little bit longer or moves into different pockets, and you just got to follow where that hungry audience is, where that new revenue's going, and get on with it. I mean, I'll give you another quick example. I make teddy bears. I've made over 1 million teddy bears for our company Teddytastic. We're a wholesale business, and we have been for the last 5 years of running it. Last year, all of our wholesale customers, theme parks, holiday parks that bought from us, turned off all their orders. We literally lost £750,000 worth of orders overnight. We thought to ourselves, look, in our warehouse, we had over £500,000 worth of stock of teddy bears. True story, by the way. And I thought, well, what are we going to do about this? So we became a B2C business. And actually, when the world goes back to normal, we're going to have a really strong B2C business and a really strong B2B wholesale business. And so that business is going to be in better shape. It's not in better shape for the current year, but going forward, I mean, we're selling loads on Amazon and Etsy and on eBay and direct on our website, all those things that we've been forced to do. We've been talking about it for years. Oh, we should really do some B2C. We should really do to B2C. But, you know, we're all busy on the wholesale because that's where all the main stuff comes from. But we've done all the work now. So when it all goes back to normal, we'll continue to enjoy, I reckon we'll probably end up doing 500,000 of B2C sales from a standing point of 0 12 months ago, and we'll grow our wholesale business. So that's going to become an even better business. And that's coronavirus has forced our hand on that. I'm just looking for the positives in this, although whilst knowing that I've got some real challenges ahead. When the challenges are going to come when the government remove all their support. For example, you know, all of our landlords, I'm lucky I own a lot of the commercial property that we operate out of, but we do have property that we rent out. And when we haven't been allowed to trade, we haven't paid our landlords their rent. So, and we're protected at the moment. They can't do nothing to us until the end of March. And I'm sure the government are going to extend that by another 3 or 4 months. But at some point, they're going to come a knocking, and I've got to deal with that and manage that situation.
There's so much to go out there and for the episode as well, and you touched on an area that I want to come to later in the episode, which was on one of your videos where you sell teddy bears that you make a big order on from China before you've made the order. So you're selling up front before taking the risk, and we'll touch on that, how you can reduce your risk in this current climate and these uncertain times that we're facing. But I want to take us back, James, because you entered the crazy world of business as a teenager, and I'm really hungry to understand what that looked like at that time, how old you were, what was your start into business, and why.
Well, I loved entertaining people and I loved business. I was the kid at school selling sweets, and I just combined the two together, and I set up an entertainment agency called Jimbo the Party Man, which became the Party Man Company, and we became one of the largest children's entertainment agencies in the UK. And then I also always wanted to own visitor attractions, zoos and theme parks. I had that urge to do that from a very young age, and so what I did is I worked out the steps of how I would get there. If I became an entertainment company, built up a swapping time for money business, as time trundled on, I realized that I needed to always think bigger, and the bigger you think, the less people operate in the space. And so what I've done as my journey's developed, I've got rid of companies that we were running where people could be in the Me Too space. And when I say Me Too, is that's a good idea, me too, I'll do that. And I've developed my businesses to become higher barrier to entry so that we compete with less people.
And what was that?
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, and I'm curious. What length? So, how old were you when you went into business, and when did you achieve that first major coup, that major purchase that you set out to achieve?
Well, very quickly, as a sole trader, I got very busy very quickly. I was earning between £1,000 and £1,500 a week as a 16, 17-year-old, which is a lot of money. But I was busy, literally like doing 15 gigs a week. I had no time. I sacrificed all my time to generate as much cash for the business as possible. So I bought a house when I was 18, bought another house when I was 19, another one when I was 20. And then when I was 20, I remortgaged those properties because it was just before the crisis with Lloyds Bank, and that gave me the money. Plus I borrowed 750,000 ish from 24 different loan lenders, 21 or 42, I can't remember now, but it was a lot of loan lenders. And I built our first venue, Party Man World, in Basildon, Essex. And that business, in its first year with our entertainment agency, we got past that £1 million worth of revenue. But huge risk, and all I was doing was generating cash and paying all these loans. But once I got through.
Yeah. So it sounds like you had quite a plan and strategy in place. Did you? How much of it was rolling with the punches, and how much was a strategy?
I was a lover of books very young. I read Losing My Virginity by Richard Branson. That sort of gave me permission to actually. Real success is building a management team around you. That isn't bullshit. That is a real thing. If you can build a great management team around you, you will have a chance of building something so much stronger and better, because usually entrepreneurs don't have that management DNA, and management don't have entrepreneurial DNA. And so I worked really hard on bringing people in, so that I employed people at 17. I had by the time I was 20, I had 25 staff, that it was, and I invested in people that allowed me to go and grow the company whilst they operated the company. And yeah, that's what I always did. How's that answer the question?
Yeah, it's you got the vision from books to start off with, and then
So I got the vision from books and being surrounded by great people, and learning from other business owners that I would just meet up and have a chat with. But I did have, I don't know, I think because I lost my mum when I was 16, left home, I just had to survive. And I knew what I wanted to build, a national brand around Party Man. I knew I wanted to build a company that people loved working for. And I knew I wanted to build it bigger, but I realised I had to take some steps to get it. The early days, funding, all the time, funding is such a challenge for entrepreneurs if you want to do it through the banks. It's not a challenge if you want to get venture capitalists and private equity involved. But yeah, I suppose I did. And I always talk about the 8 traits of the great, and one of them is thinking with the end in mind, having a powerful vision, and I suppose I did have that.
Yeah.
And James, how much did the loss of your mum at 16 play into your business journey, and how did that business journey help, if at all, with your loss of your mum at that age, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I was sad about it. I lost my granddad, who was my driver, because he was taking me to all my gigs in the early day, and they all happened within 4 months. It was a real torrid time, and I feel really bad about it and sad about it. And I just thought, well, life's so short. And I suppose what I learned from Mum being really ill, she had MS, was that your body's a really frail. And I was running a business that was swapping time for money. Literally, as a magician, your hands make all your money. And so that also gave me the power to build an agency and build income that wasn't reliant on me. It's probably why I invested into property at such a young age as well. So yeah, all of those things make a huge impact on my decision making of building something that wasn't just centered around me. Took some time to do, sort of 3 or 4 years, but I think by the time I got to sort of 22, I thought, no, I can actually, if I was ill now, if I broke my leg or got seriously sick, some income would still come in, and that was a big aha moment for me.
And you
have you always had the? Sorry, yeah, I was going to say, you obviously, mindset being such an asset, arguably one of the biggest assets, and you were saying about through the pandemic, we're all in the same boat. We're not all in the same boat, because obviously different businesses and different industries have bounced but you particularly, being in the event space, you must have been particularly hard hit, but your mindset and positivity is probably higher than anyone that I've spoken to has actually thrived in. So have you?
Well, Phil, let me tell you now, I will always seek out opportunity, but I've had some dark days. Throughout all of this, I've been fed up being in lockdown. I've had some days where I'm dealing with stuff that I don't want to deal with as a business owner. That's that only the pandemic would made us deal with. So I hate dealing with management stuff. I much prefer growing, leading, being entrepreneurial. However, this has forced me to deal with situations that I would class as way more management. So I have had some sad times. Don't get me wrong. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I left the office at 2:00 and went home and just got into bed, and stayed there till 7:00. Then came down, and the second I got in, I said to my missus, I said, I just can't talk to anyone. I just need to be on my own and go to bed. And I was exhausted with it all. But luckily for me, those things, when that happens, and that happens in the good times as well, probably once or twice a year, because I am only a human being. I'm not some superhero person. I don't think anyone is. But I'm lucky I get over it quite quickly. I have quite good bounceability. I get on and move forward. And I'm surrounded by a team that inspires me to keep on going. And I think if anyone ever takes anything from me, I hope that it's that building a team around you, a really good team, can help you get through dark times, because they pull you up as much as you as an owner pull them up when it's tough in business. And if you get that great team around you, you can take on anything.
Yeah. I'm eager to delve into kind of that management team around you a little bit more, but before we go down that path, I'm just curious on what helps you. What do you do as downtime to keep yourself energized, sane, fit, healthy? All of those things. What does that normally look like? And is that religiously so? You're doing something on a daily basis, or is it peaks and troughs and?
James, I'm not good at all that stuff.
Right.
I hate exercise. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I've never even tried a cigarette. I've got a real sugar craving that I've got to sort out. I love biscuits. I love sweets. I love fizzy drinks, and I haven't had a fizzy drink this year. Actually, I'm trying to cut them out. I drink more water than ever, but I am trying to cut those things down. So food is something that I do love. I did have a personal trainer for 2.5 years, then he moved away, and I saw that as a great excuse not to replace him. And actually I did start getting to like it, but I'm moving house, and it's got a gym in that house, and so I am gonna get back on it and stuff. But yeah, no, I'm not great at being some fit fanatic. However, I make time to really think, and that I've always done. Probably 2.5 hours a day on my own before I go to bed. So once I'm in bed, I'll have 2.5 hours to really think before I go to sleep. But sleep is also really important to me. I don't set an alarm ever. I wake up naturally. Unless I've got to catch a plane or it's a real... So 300 days of the year, I don't set an alarm. I wake up naturally and I go into work off peak. So I come in usually at 10 o'clock.
That sounds like... Yeah, that sounds like the dream. That sounds really lovely.
I never do. Lovely. I avoid traffic at all costs because it really gets on my... so I completely avoid it. I can't believe I've just said that. Sorry.
No.
Right. So and to me, success.
I'm with you on that. The thing about the whole traffic situation, I don't understand how. Like, if it was me, I'd either be like in at stupid o'clock in the morning to be ahead of the game and evade traffic jams, or you'd be trying to hit the gym locally, which means you'd get there and avoid the traffic and then roll into work normally, or as you say, arrive later and stay longer or work from home. But and I think it's incredible now with the pandemic how it is now for people working remotely, and it's more employers now that are opening themselves up to that way of working. And
all of my senior team come and go when they like. They can have as many holidays as they like. I manage them on output, not input. They don't tell me when they're coming in and when they're going, and I've always been of that mindset because that's the way I live. However, they've got to be present. Some people have taken the piss out of us, and we've removed those luxuries from them, if you like, as time's trundled on. But most of our people have really benefited from that freedom, and we've got more out of them as an organisation. The organisation has benefited. They've benefited because they can just go and see their school play, go to the dentist, and never have to ask and never know that it's going to be a worry. They just put it in their diary so that we know that we don't have to book anything for them. So yeah, I've always believed in that. Who wouldn't want to work like that?
Has it always been like that within your setup?
Only our senior team. Obviously, we've got a chain of day nurseries. If they did that, we've got a problem. But but anyone that's not to service, pretty much have the freedom to work from home whenever they like, come in whenever they like, leave and start whenever they like, as long as the job's done.
Yeah.
And often with that approach, I've experienced it in teams before, where that works until somebody literally takes the piss, and then
people do take the piss, but then they're gone.
Right, interesting. Yeah, because historically, that's okay as long as it works, and then one person ruins it, and then it often is the case. The quickest route is to just stop that luxury altogether, and then the majority stop benefiting from that because one person couldn't pull the weight or be disciplined, and you don't do it. You just simply get rid of those.
I'm not talking about my senior team here. So out of 600 staff, we're talking about our 15 senior people that have that. And they're people that are really, they put way more in. They send emails at midnight because that's when they found time to do it, to work around their family. Because once you've got a family, that becomes an important part of your life, doesn't it? And you've really only got a window of 6 or 7 years where your children are young and they really, really need you. And we respect that, and we want to respect that. That's how I believe that we should be.
And with regards to your management team, what with your 45-minute documentary on YouTube, and we'll put the link in the episode copy, and really encourage people to go and watch that, titled "How We Made Six Figures in a Pandemic," and there's loads to go at with that. But talking about the management team, there's a very short clip of you having a meeting with your management team and your kind of problem solving and strategizing, and what really stood out was just the dynamics, and it wasn't so much what was said, it was just how you all were. You relaxed, you clearly trust each other. There's a wonderful way of working, and you clearly that's been a process and a journey to get to that point. And in the documentary, you bring back your old marketing lead. He'd left you, and you brought him back. And how was that, bringing an ex-member of the team back into the fold, when essentially you've then got a set up team, you're settled, somebody's left you, there's a pandemic, everything, all rules are off, and you bring an ex-team member back in. How did that play out?
Well, look, so we've brought people back. I mean, one of my team that had been with me for a long time, Jazz, went off to work for Nickelodeon, then came back. So if people do want to come back, and he had an events business, and obviously it was decimated, and I thought I could help, and I thought, yeah, he's good, let's bring him back. I featured him in the documentary as well as with the rest of the team. But I believe in E plus M equals S. That's entrepreneurship plus management equals success. You just can't have too much leadership. Actually, when it comes down to it, what really gets things going is management. And the way I describe this is, imagine running a school with no teachers and just having a head teacher. Or imagine running a school with just a teacher but no innovative leadership style head teacher that's going to drive the school forward to the next level. And those students need both. They need the head teacher and they need the teachers. And when I look at a successful organisation and I think of all the things that we've done super successfully, I always think, businesses need leadership and management, or case on case, entrepreneurship and management. And I think what that documentary shows, that I was like, yeah, this is what we're going to do. We can do this. We can bring in this. It will help us get through. I was giving all the vision leadership statements. And then I was saying to the team, now you've got to go and manage the day-to-day, the minute-to-minute, the hour-to-hour stuff to make that happen. And hopefully that documentary shows the difference between leadership and management.
And do you want to give our listeners and viewers a bit of insight into that documentary before they go and click on the link and watch it?
What I wanted to do is, obviously we've got assets. Our business generates between 850 and 1.5 million pounds a month, depending on the month it is. Coronavirus came along, and in the lockdown months, only our day nurseries were trading, so we was generating maximum of £250,000 a month, and our bills are horrendous. And I just thought, look, we've got this asset. Retail's allowed to open before leisure. Let's go and build a Christmas and a farm shop. I bought a couple of big tops and this big barn that we had, and we converted it into a farm shop, and we were doing really, really well. And then we got closed down by the local authority because we were seen as non-essential retail, and we put all of that into the dock. But we would have done the £1 million turnover in that 12 months. I think we got to about 780 because we were locked down again. But it was going really well. We made profit from that. I reckon we contributed about 170 grand to the business from that as well. So, that pays some bills. I call it contribution because all of our businesses contribute to our head office. Look, we enjoyed making that. And I wanted to do something that we could do after the pandemic. So those businesses are now part of us, and they'll stay part of us and continue to be part of us.
And is it fair to say you've got a fair bit of stock for Christmas 2021, or?
Yeah, I'd say. I reckon we're sitting on about 150 grand's worth of stock right now.
Wow, incredible. Well, look, we've looked back at you starting to business and the documentary there, and with part of our February theme is how to plan and look at the opportunities in 2021. And it's an area which I'm eager to delve deep into. And, a lot of people during this pandemic, James, have delved into Netflix and absorbed a number of series and episodes. And I'm wondering how much of Joey Exotic was at play for you buying a zoo. Are you going to be Jim Exotic, Essex's version of the Tiger King?
We did put that out as a little post on Instagram, and we superimposed my face on it. So we did do that. But I watched, I think, one episode, and but I know loads of people loved it, and then I just didn't get hooked on it. But I do love movies. I do love series that if they grab me, I'm in. I'm all in. So yeah,
you'll have to send us that photograph. You definitely have to send us.
It's on my Instagram.
It's on my Instagram.
We'll check that out. But tell us about the zoo. What the
So basically, when I bought Marsh Farm, it was a visitor attraction, losing between 400, 500,000 pounds a year. I bought it off the local government. We reinvigorated it with energy, effort, and enthusiasm. The 3 E's that I think really takes a business to the next level. I got in, done the best I could to turn Marsh Farm around. This year we will make. Marsh Farm will make nearly £1 million, even in the coronavirus year. It's just our indoor businesses that have lost loads of money. So what we make in one hand, we give on the other. And the VAT reductions and the business rates reductions have helped that, but it's still not enough to. I think for the first time ever this year we'll break even, when we always make about £1 million profit. So that's the real heartache of coronavirus. But we'll zoom back next year, and this zoo is a very similar story to Marsh Farm, and that's why I told you this. Basically, what we done at Marsh Farm, Lee Valley was run by another authority, another council, and they put it out to tender, and we said, look, we'll come in, we'll love it, we'll look after it, and I think I said to them something that I think made them decide that we should buy it. And they had 5 people really wanting to buy it. I said, you see, the thing is, like Marsh Farm and like Lee Valley Animal Adventure Park, we never really feel like we own these businesses. We just feel like we're looking after them for the next generation. And I think that struck a chord with them, and boom, that done the deal, because that's how we do feel about these businesses. I make a lot of money from commercial property. I know how to do that really well, but I continue to invest into zoos and carousels and trains and building adventure parks, because that is where my passion lies. I love delivering happy days out for families. I love delivering to my team to see them go to the next level. I love running childcare businesses. That's what I'm really passionate about. So it gives me loads of resilience to carry on. And whilst I'm going to need a lot of resilience to carry on with this zoo that we're buying, it's been closed for 18 months. It's got bloody meerkats and zoobies and all of these things that haven't seen visitors for 18 months. They were losing, before they closed, a couple of £100,000 a year, but we've done it at Marsh Farm, and I believe we can do it here. And it's a whisker off the M25. So anyone that knows that road that circulates London knows that this is a really good place to be. And we're going to turn it around. We're going to get wallabies there. We're going to get lemurs, squirrel monkeys. I cannot wait. And we're going to do glamping and camping and all of this stuff. And we're going to reinvigorate and bring it back. What I like doing, if you look at my history, I bought lots of failing businesses and turned them around. I love buying family brands that families love. And especially those where the owners of them have lost the energy, enthusiasm and effort, but they've been around for a few decades. Everyone knows them. You just have to go and put some magic polish on it and bring it back to its former glory. And we're about to do that with another company we're buying locally as well, which is it's a sort of 85, 90-year-old business. Again, it's a brand that families love, which is our big vision for our company is to build profitable brands that families love. And that keeps us, we've got to be commercial, but we only want to do things that families love. So that's why everything that I've got are all centered around the family market.
And what your relationship with passion and profit there, which you touched on, James, was it seems that the profit is not essentially where your areas of passion are, but your areas of passion then inevitably run into profit because of that. Now, I'm curious, it's that relationship, and when does the passion run away with itself, and you have your team around you maybe shaking their heads and bringing you back down to reality at times, or is that not at play?
I think we do things for a profit. We care about making profit because that allows us to do bigger things. The more profit we make, the more we can grow our company, and the more adventurous we can be, the more we can borrow at better rates to really accelerate what we want to do. My argument to people is, if I just wanted to make money, I would just do commercial property. But I like running these types of businesses. They infuse me. They give me passion. And therefore, when things are tough, I have resilience. And this is, when I talk about the 8 traits of the great, I was just finding this. I will send this to you. It's number 1, they start with the end in mind. Number 2, you're passionate about what you do. And because you're passionate, you get number 3, which is untold amounts of resilience. Number 4, create great relationships with people. I think that's a real core attribute of super successful people. Number 5, commercial awareness, because you can be really passionate about something, have plenty of resilience, but if it don't make any money, then the market will take you out. Number 6, you're born innovators. And I honestly believe this. If you don't innovate, your business will evaporate. The world is going through a constant process of innovation, and it's really important that you're constantly innovating, even when you're at the top of your game. I'll give you a case example of this. If you think about Sony at the end of the 90s, they were the technology innovators, and they thought, right, we're here, we're the kingpins. They slowed down on their innovation. This bloke called Steve Jobs came along and out innovated them. Now, Sony are still there, and I'm not saying that they're going to go anywhere, but I don't think anyone now in 2020 would say they are the technology innovators of the world. But they would have in the 1990s. They absolutely would have said Sony were the kingpins, but they just stopped innovating. They rested on their laurels. So what business owners need to do, even when you're at the top of your game, you need to carry on innovating. Number 7, you're a born marketeer. I spend more of my time on getting customers and marketing and getting our message out there than any other part of the business. I spend 80% of my time on income producing activities and growing our business rather than operating our business. And number 8, you stay teachable. I bought 2 books over the weekend, The One Thing and The Compound Effect. Someone recommended them to me. I'm reading them. I started reading them last night. I constantly go on webinars, and listen to podcasts. And I've always gone to seminars, live seminars, when the world goes back to normal, even though I do all that stuff myself. I just really think it's important that entrepreneurs stay teachable so that they can learn the new stuff to grow their business. So that's what I call the 8 traits of the great.
Yeah, I like that. Stay teachable as well, because that comes back to you as well, because you seem to get a buzz out of teaching as well. I've dived into your podcast, which incidentally, I listen to audio on 1.5 speed, and you're the first person who I can't do it with. You're that fast and quick fire. I've had to cut it back to get them.
It's weird because today I was thinking about myself. I'm much more slowed down today. I think it's because you're driving it and I'm just answering the questions. So basically on my podcast, I some people have not enjoyed it because I'm quite mean to them. But I think for us, got half hour of my time here, and I'm going to change your life. Flipping do what I tell you.
I noticed that you're very to the point with people. You're not scared of saying blah blah blah. On with it.
So basically it's a coaching, it's half hour of coaching. People have got to have 3 challenges, and we've changed it now. They have 3 challenges that's stopping them growing their business, and 5 questions they would like to ask me to grow their business. So the 140 that we've done, and actually this it's talking about is osmosis, how things develop. Someone at the end of probably 10 episodes ago, they said, James, I've got some questions for you. And I loved it, like what you're doing now. And it gave it a new spin on it, because actually most people have the same challenges. It's cash flow. They can't get enough customers. Their mindset's in a problem. Or they're trying to be the entrepreneur and the manager, and they're not building a team around them. They're trying to do too much and then have this overwhelm. So it's always around those core challenges. But people like listening to those challenges because they go, "Yay! It's not just bloody me. There's other people that have got problems when they're in business." And so we have those conversations, and then they're now asking me 5 questions at the end, and they are always different. Actually, very strangely, they might go to a similar theme, but they are different to their sector. So and they might be more on investing strategies, but I love doing it, and it's really helped, and I love running the Entrepreneurs University, which is, I used to run seminars, but obviously can't do that anymore, can you? And I used to speak on stages a lot, which I love doing. I can't do that anymore. So I just took that business and turned it into the Entrepreneurs University. So I created modules on literally what every single sphere of entrepreneurship that I could think about, including property investment, and put it into the Entrepreneurs University so people can do it wherever they are in the world.
Yeah. And moving through 2021, do you have anything that you've learned through the pandemic which you're going to focus more on? Is there any sector that you think you would focus on more, or anything you definitely wouldn't do moving forward?
Yeah.
Childcare, I'm going to focus more on childcare because, look, if you want to be successful in business and build something that someone wants to buy, and you should always be building a business to sell, even if you have no intention of selling it, because it puts all the right disciplines on you to grow your business in the right way. What I've learned from my childcare business is it's roaring. It's going fantastic. And it's a love, want, need business. And I talk about this as one of the perfect business traits. If people love what you do, they want what you do, but crucially, they need what you do, you'll always be in business. And most of us have love, want businesses. Most of my businesses are love, want. People love days out. They want days out. But hang on a second, if they haven't got the money and there's a coronavirus pandemic, they don't need them. And so that's why I think we see restaurants, nightclubs, bars and leisure really have a struggle. But when you look at childcare businesses, accountancy practices, dentists, their love, want and need. You've got a sore tooth. You're going to love your dentist for sorting it out. You want him to sort it out. You need him to sort it out. And so then love, want, need businesses are the best ones to be involved in. And childcare is that for me. We've opened 2 nurseries during coronavirus, one in Cambridge, and one in Ipswich, and one of them is only 6 months old and it's going to go into break even. Usually takes 18 months for a nursery to go to break even. So, brilliant. And so I'm going to open more of them bad boys.
Yeah. It's interesting because you said earlier on about how there's the same amount of money in the world. There's enough money and it'll be shared out again in the future. It flows through.
Yeah.
And if you've got that mindset,
here's a great phrase for you as well. Similar, it's about monies and pockets. It's slightly off, but I want to share it with you because it's come into my head.
Yeah.
If you took all the money from the wealthiest people in the world and distributed it evenly, it wouldn't take long to go back to the original pocket. How about that one for you? I like that one.
Absolutely.
Right, your question.
Yeah. Sorry. So your mindset is obviously not one of scarcity. It's one of abundance. Because you don't seem to feel threatened by literally giving away your knowledge, which is arguably your biggest asset. You're quite happy to talk about your strategies. You're very open and giving in that respect.
Yeah, because most people don't implement.
You think it's action? Action is the.
Yeah, I mean, what I hate about getting older is you get more knowledge and I don't take the risks that I did as an 18, 19, 20, 22, 23-year-old because I know more.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the other thing, Phil, when you build a business and you start building lieutenants around you, they become insurance policies on your decision-making and they hold you back. If you're building a great team, it's like a democracy, let me tell you that. Now, why I do think we're a democratic dictatorship, so there is a slight dictatorship, i.e. me, that has the final decision. Lots of things happen in my business that my team are making the decisions for now, and that allows me to think with an abundance mindset because I know that they're looking after what we've got, so I can continue to grow it so that I can grow their personal development, their income as our business grows and makes more money.
Yeah. What did your insurance policy think to the zoo idea?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, they'll be fine. Zoos are much safer than farms. As long as you don't have tigers, we won't have tigers and all of that stuff. We'll be, small zoo animals. But there's more risks with farm animals with zoonosis and E. coli. Sheep, bloody hell. Let me tell you now, sheep. If you're pregnant and you touch a sheep and it's carrying certain diseases, that's really dangerous. Much more than a lemur. I'm not going to bore everyone on this podcast about the safe animal contact of farm parks, but yeah, let me tell you, there's more on a farm park than a zoo.
That's maybe a new podcast route for you, James.
We're going niche.
We talk about opportunities in 2021, and also I really want to ask you because incredible importance on reducing risk in business, and there's one of your videos where I touched on you're going to make a huge order to buy a number of toys, soft toys, and you actually test the market. So you look to sell them before you actually place the order yourself. And then there's a video where you take a Google Maps image of a yard, and then you sell it out again.
I always do that.
Can you give us first of all a bit of insight?
What I like to do
What I like to do is when you start a business, it's really hard. I mean, even when you're really successful, like I know someone, right, that's worth probably 100 million quid. They're so wealthy they don't even live in this country. They live in a tax haven. Even him at his level, he still struggles to get all the finance he needs for all the opportunities he's got, and he's got swathes of property. I'm not saying it's not impossible for him, but it's still a challenge. So however successful you get, raising funding, managing the cash flow of a business is continually creative, unless you're Jeff Bezos. But it's constant. You're always looking for ways to fill the gap. And banks are nervous of entrepreneurs. They are nervous of entrepreneurs, and I think they're more nervous of the super successful ones because they know that they've now got more ammunition and resource to make bigger decisions in many ways. So I wanted to start Teddytastic. Basically, we run Christmas grottos, and one of the gifts that we do is a Make-A-Bear teddy bear. And the way we wanted to do it, no one would manufacture. So I checked it out in China, and to make it all work, we needed to buy 250,000 quid's worth of stock. So I knew I was some of them, but I went to other visitor attractions and said to them, look, I'm making these. I've got some samples. Would you like to place an order? I got all their orders, got the cash in, so that I was sure that there was a demand for that business. And what most people do, especially when I'm going on Clubhouse and on these and sit on panels, everyone wants to raise money before it's tried, tested and proven. And it's really difficult, not obviously impossible, but really difficult. And so I always say, if you want to raise money, if you can say, look, I've already sold X amount of pounds worth of stuff or X units, that becomes way more investable. And so before I want to invest any money, most of the time, I've taken some, gut instinct views. Most of the time when it's a big thing, I test the market and I just see if someone's going to pay me for it before I go and dive in and spend the money. And so I own quite a lot of commercial property, and I've got some yard space, and I thought I could build a couple of yards here. And rather than investing in all the metal fencing and everything and the porter cabin, I just Google imaged a picture of a yard. And I documented it on the YouTube channel, and it wasn't my yard. And I just put it on Facebook Marketplace and said, I've got a couple of yards for rent. I was inundated, and I thought, right, that's fine. I'll go and spend the money. And because I knew that there was a hungry audience there. And that's one of the big things about being successful in business. If you really want to be successful, choose a business where there is a hungry audience. And most people choose something where there's an audience that they think is there, but they're not really hungry. And if you choose a really hungry audience business, you'll be really successful very quickly.
Based on that, what are you hearing? What's been repeated right now with your audience, with the people that you're speaking with, in terms of hungry audiences? Where what similarities are coming through?
In the southeast, commercial property, space, warehousing, not retail, but anything like that, small commercial stuff, there's a huge hungry audience for that, and commercial property in the southeast of England is rising. I don't know about the rest of the country, but I assume it's the same. They're just not making this stock anymore, so it's really, there's loads of residential. Everyone says there's not enough residential being made compared to the amount of commercial that's being made. It's it's not even in the same sphere. So commercial property is still good. Childcare in high populated towns. The childcare businesses that are failing are usually in low populated towns. I think there's going to be a rise of leisure when the world goes back to normal, but that's not right now. Vacations in the UK, glamping, camping, all of that stuff, there's a real hungry audience for that. Great business, but it's a love-want business, not a love-want-need business. I would say the commercial property and the day nursery are love-want-need businesses. They're the ones that sort of flutter into my mind as you said it, but there are others. You just need to choose businesses that don't have customers that are fickle as well. I'm putting this all into this book that I'm going to write next year called The Perfect Business. When I look at my day nursery business, it's such a good business because the customers are not fickle. Like if a new day nursery opens up a mile down the road, they don't change. You don't change your kid's school, do you, just because there's a new school being opened? So they become really loyal to you because they transact with you regularly. So when we look at a great business, they have a good average customer value, and a fantastic transactional value and a great lifetime value. There's a big hungry audience for supermarkets right now because of that. And I was thinking about this. Sainsbury's, Tesco, Asda, usually people have a supermarket that they frequent the most regularly. I was thinking, actually, you probably spend £1 million with your chosen supermarket over your lifetime. If you live to like 85, 90, maybe even 100, that's not beyond the realms of possibility for everyone to do that than this current generation. You're transacting with them once or twice a week and you're spending £100 each time. You become really loyal and habitual to that supermarket and less fickle to, like, if you're a Sainsbury's customer, you don't just go, actually, I'll go to Tesco's this week. You're in the habit of continually going to Sainsbury's. Or if you're a Marks and Spencer's customer, you're in the habit of going there. And that's why I think the day nursery model was really good. Less fickle customers, transacting regularly, good average customer value of £700-800 a month, and the lifetime value is 4 years. And if you can find businesses that fit in those, then you're off to the races.
That's brilliant right there. Absolutely, because I'm looking at things that we've got around us, and you can see the love and you can see the want, but you can't see the need. And
yeah, I mean, most businesses are love and want, though. But look, Phil, most of my businesses are love and want, and I do worry when I go through this, because people have an aha moment when I talk about this little methodology that I've come up with, and then they're like, "Oh shit, that's not me." I mean, you can still be super successful with a love and want business, but if you can add in need, then you really are going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a tangible example as we came out of the last lockdown. We've got a salon which has got hair on one floor and beauty on the next floor. So as we came out, people needed their haircut, or they certainly felt they needed their haircut.
Yeah.
But no one needed anything else. The rest of the building remained quiet.
So let's look at that business. So that is a love, want, and need business. People love their hair, they want their hair, they need their hair done, right? So it fits that. The problem I have with that is the average customer value is very low.
Yeah. And also also you can have a fickle customer.
What really? Do they go and shop between? I've had the same hairdresser forever.
Oh well, I think when you're on the other side of it, when you're on the other side of the counter, I think you see it differently. I think you do get transient clients.
So for me, that business, the hairdressing, average customer value is low, but the transactional value, they're probably transacting 10, 12 times a year, maybe a bit more than that. The lifetime value, if you look after them, is forever until they lose their hair, or they move away, or they die. So they can literally buy from you till they die or lose their hair. But the ACV is what would turn me off of that business, because I want to. It's like my farm part, and I look at it like most of our customers spend £25 a year with us, and they transact with us 1.5 times a year. So some people do come really regularly, but we track it as only 1.5 times, and their lifetime value is 4 years. They're only worth £100 to us as a business. It's really hard to invest into marketing to get those people in, because you're only getting £100 lifetime value.
Yeah.
And that would be very similar to your, what's a haircut? £20, isn't it? I suppose, or something like that. I don't know, Yorkshire, £6.
Yeah.
No, but you get my, but you can't. There's no point in you spending like we do for our day nursery on Facebook ads and Google ads, because they're only going to spend 15-20 quid with you, and it's difficult.
Yeah, and you've also got the radius that people are prepared to travel, which you'll have a much bigger radius for an attraction than a salon will have. So the better thing about, and that's the other problem with your business, is lack of capacity, but brilliant for Marsh Farm. So we can get 5,000 people in a single day. You've got the cap on your amount of, which is the biggest problem with my indoor play centre business. It's a capacity issue. So when you look at capacity, if you can get capacity, then it works. But look, you can still turn £100,000 profit out of a single salon, I'm sure. And if you had 10 of them, you make £1 million. But that's a lot of work. And that's the journey that I went with my indoor play business. It makes £100,000 a year, but if you put a decent manager in, they take a lot of that profit away, and you go round and round. So that's why I had to repair the model, if you like. See, when you're running a business, it's all about finding that profitable model, and usually it needs a tweak. And so for me, it was taking an indoor play centre and bolting a day nursery on that then
shares the overhead, shares the customer database, shares the commercial kitchen, and you go from making 100,000 on a site to 300,000 on a site. That's a much better model. And you just got to find those models.
Yeah.
Capacity is one of the ones that really, knocks up a business to the next level. Most businesses just don't have big capacity because they're confined by the space they're in, the location they're in, etc., etc. That's why Amazon's done so well, because its capacity is the world.
It's also the evolution of your thinking, isn't it? From a small business to a medium-sized business to a large business.
Yeah, well, so I always talk about this. You go through 3 stages as an entrepreneur. You build a profitable job. So let's look at the hairdresser. Chris is the name of my hairdresser. He's got a profitable job. He's gigging around in his car, going to different people. He's making decent money. He's got a profitable job. The next stage would be building a profitable business where you start employing people. You've got one salon. Now, the last stage is building a profitable investment. What that means is other people's money, pension funds, venture capitalists, want to buy into your business. Does Legal and General, the pension fund, want to buy one hair salon? No, because they see it as a profitable business. Would they be interested in 150 hair salons that are making positive EBITDA? Yeah, because they'll see that as an investment. Possibly. I'm not saying they would, but that it's getting to that third stage, and a profitable investment really is building something that not one private individual wants to buy, but that the stock market wants to buy, that institutional money wants to buy, venture capitalists, angel investors want to buy into. And that's the aim of the game. And that's what I've been getting from children's entertainer, family entertainment centre. Right, I've got a profitable business. I need to turn this into an investment that people want to invest into. And that's where the day nursery is bolting on, growing it and building an ecosystem that supports each other has come about. And now I have people genuinely come to me all the time offering to buy my business. Even
incredible.
2 big offers this year.
And
Recently as well.
So the simple question with a very complex answer, I'm sure, is why? And if you have said no, why would you say no? What's the driver? Is it the long game?
So, say I sell my business for 30 million quid. Say that was the number that comes along. I've got 30 million quid in the bank, and what do I want to do? I just want to go and open another zoo, another farm attraction, another theme park. So I'm back to it, and I have a real love of the thing that I've built. I built it literally from being a child. It seems 15 years old. That's when it started. And it's difficult it's very emotional. It's like your child that you've built up. I'd feel very sad to go. But one day I will be going, won't I? Whether it's through death or exit. And I need to think about those things.
Well, that is a question we always ask at the start of our show, and that leads us perfectly into what is your proudest moment personally and professionally, and you can answer in either order.
Oh, there's been loads of proud moments professionally, loads and loads. Oh dear.
What's the first one that springs to mind? What came up? What was the first one that came to the forefront before many others sprung about?
Probably taking over Marsh Farm was one of my proudest moments. I love this place. It's in my DNA. Second proudest moment is retaining team members that have been with me for, I'm 35 years old. I've got people that have worked for me for 18 years. I am proud of that. That's, I think, unusual to be able to do that. I've got people that have worked for me, lots of people that have worked for me for over a decade. It's bizarre, I think, for someone to have done that from the off. Writing my books, because I hate writing, and I forced myself to do it. I didn't piss about with ghostwriters and stuff like that. I forced myself to do it, and that makes sure that I'm doing what I say I'm going to be doing. I think it really teaches you loads when you write. So all these things that I can just pull out, E+M capacity, the models that I use, the love, want and need, writing has helped me. They're all in there, all in our brains. But when you write, you actually formulate these headlines for the things that you believe in that makes you a better communicator.
And personally, so and how much of that? Yeah, because it sounds like you're personal and professional.
Woo-woo.
Yeah, personally, not being woo-woo is being a daddy. You know, that's bloody fantastic. I love being a dad. My missus forced me. I mean, I love children. I've worked with children all my life, but I kept on putting it off because I thought they would stop me from growing my business, take up loads of time, which they do, but for all the right reasons. You know, I've got a 4-year-old and a 7-month-old, and they're just fantastic. And it's I think once I wanted to do a good job as a parent, and I think lots of people are parents, but I don't know if they're doing a great job at it. I want to do a good job at. I want to be a great dad, and I think I'm doing that.
Fantastic. And we always, when we finish off the episode, before we direct people where they can find you, is who's your hero and why?
Well, some people, I am going to say Richard Branson, because I read that book when I was 16. He's dyslexic, and he gave me permission. If you can't do something, get others to do it for you. And we're brought up in the United Kingdom is try again until you succeed. And he said, no, if you're not good at doing this, just employ someone. And that was like an aha moment. He just taught me in the book, Losing My Virginity, that just play to your strengths. If you're good at getting customers, go and get customers. If you're good at sales, go and get sales. Don't force yourself into an admin sales role, bookkeeper role, just because you think that's what you should be doing. And also, when reading that book, learning that how nimble he was approaching to things and how to creatively get things done has forced me to do that in my tiny little way compared to him. Well, I know I've done more than most, but obviously there's many more titans than me that have completely gone way and above what I could have ever hoped to have achieved. Maybe I'll get there. Maybe I want to get further, but it's just going to take me a bit longer.
And we're gonna have to sign off. And there's loads we haven't touched on in terms of you creating a shed load of content consistently. So, and you've got Mike who follows you around with a camera and recording a chunk of stuff that you do. And there's a weird connection between us that Mike is his mum. His business partner is John Borland. Now, John and Phil have worked together, and then John came on our show. And then we were working with John and building his personal brand and helping with his podcast. And I had a chat with Mike, and it wasn't until I knew your name resonated, but I didn't know where from. And it wasn't until he mentioned the farm, and I was saying, whoa, 1 minute. And then I Googled you and realized we'd met each other 3.5-4 years ago at VaynerMedia in Shoreditch, Gary Vaynerchuk, at the Gary Vaynerchuk event, and we were literally sat next to each other. I remember having a chat with you, and I remember you recording your video, and I think you were in your first year of working with Mike, and just correct me if I'm wrong, but it was Gary Vaynerchuk that inspired you to have a videographer capture and document everything that you do and why you do it.
I am a fan of Gary, although I haven't watched a lot of his content recently, but I have met him, and I think he's a lovely, kind, genuine person. Obviously super successful. And I just watched that, and I wanted to speak on stages, and I love being an entertainer, and a lot of people have got a fear about being on stage. Have got a fear of not being on stage, and I thought as I got older I could sort of get into the speaking area rather than doing the magic that I've always done. And I just saw Gary do it really well, and I saw that he made loads of content. I thought, right, I'll start building a personal brand. It'll only take a year. Oh my God, it's so much harder than anyone can even fathom doing. I've wrote 3 books. I'm writing a 4th book. I've done 150 podcasts. You know, I've made over 500 videos on my YouTube channel, and it's so hard to break through, but I'm not giving up. You know, you just got to keep on going, haven't you? And it's but one of the other great things about making content is it creates a metaphorical scrapbook of your business that, 20 years time, you can look back and say, wow, that's where we was at and look where we are now.
Fantastic. Well, James, where can people find you? Where can we direct people to get in touch and see what you do and how you do it?
My website, jamessinclair.net, is the home to get you everywhere. But my YouTube channel is, I think, flipping fantastic, and it well deserves a subscribe to. And you just go to James Sinclair on YouTube and you shall find me. Hit the notification bell so you're notified when we bring out great new videos to help grow your business.
Love it. We would love to continue to be in touch and not only watch from afar, but kind of get closer and closer with your journey ahead, which is no doubt going to be exciting and full of ups and downs in the year ahead. And certainly taking a closer look at Entrepreneurs University. I know before we press record, you promised us that we could have lifetime access. Wasn't that right, James?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I said you can try it free for 14 days. It's only 50 quid a month. Literally, it's the best 50 quid any business owner can invest. It's literally, you want to know how to do Facebook ads? We've got an app for that. You want to know how to write good copy to get more customers? We've done a module for that. You want to know how to sell on Amazon? We've done a module for that. Property investment is literally all the things that I used to charge thousands of pounds for, like at weekend courses, which I'm never going to do again because I haven't got any time anymore. I've just put it into this. And no contract, 50 quid a month. And you can try it free 14 days. What's not to love?
If that isn't an entrepreneurial sign off to our podcast, I don't know what is. James, thank you so much for joining us today. Brilliant. It's been an absolute pleasure. My mind, and I'm sure Phil's, is going 10 to the dozen, and we'll have a chunk of stuff to bounce off.
I hope you two have both subscribed to my YouTube channel.
You're holding us to account here, aren't you?
Yeah, I hope you have, because then 2 little more subs. I want to get to 10,000 subs really quick. We're on 8,050 now, and so I just want to get these last 1,000, because I really feel like we help people on our YouTube channel. It's like, I just think it's the most resourceful, and I would say this because I'm obviously making it, but I just think we make great stuff to help people on there, and I just feel more people need to know about it. It's not some scammy get rich quick stuff. It's like real decent business stuff, and I think people should be consuming it to help grow their business, and then we can get out of this as an economy to build a better country, because we're going to need entrepreneurs more than we've ever needed them to pay all this debt back.
Well, you won't only have two
more
subscribers.
You'll have a wealth. We've reached over 250,000 people so far with the podcast in more than 80 countries worldwide. So I'm sure you've provided a shed load of value to us and our audience, and no doubt that will be given back in many forms to yourself. So
thanks for joining us.
Thanks, James.
Thanks, James.
Mate.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Business Lockdown.
Please comment, like, share and subscribe to help build our global community.
We look forward to seeing you all soon.